St. Patrick's Cathedral Basilica, the old version, even though it looks newer than the one in the Midtown, but whatever. This is where we're going to see the Catacombs that's under New York City. I never knew existed. Yeah, so we have a tour. Tours about an hour and 20 minutes. But look, there's a line.
Oh, what? That's for something else. Right here. Right here. St. Patrick's Old Cathedral. Yep.
We probably should turn it off until we get in.
A huge fire destroyed the inside of the church, but because of this fire, they expedited its completion and moved the seat of the bishop uptown. It took them less than 2 years to reopen it as a regular parish. So from 1868, when it reopened, they called it St. Patrick's Old Cathedral, up until 2010, when on its anniversary, it was raised up to a basilica status. Now, there are only 6 major basilicas in the world. They're all in Rome, and that includes St. Peter's. This is one of the 76 basilica minors in the United States. I want to take it back to 1783. That was evacuation day. That was the day the British left Manhattan. Not a Catholic-friendly town. There were no Catholic churches in the entire city. We had less than 25,000 residents in New York, and less than 1,100 of them were papists, another term for Catholics. Purchased this property here to put a cemetery. The Diocese of New York is formed in 1808, and the following year they laid the cornerstone of the cathedral. Now, where we are, we're in a beautiful federal-style property. This opened up in 1822 as a convent for the Sisters of Charity. This is also the very first Catholic orphanage in the city and the very first parochial school. This used to be St. Patrick's School. Now, the beginning of the 1830s is when we started to see large waves of immigrants coming into the city here. They ended up in this neighborhood. This was the north end of what they used to call the Five Points. And how many people here saw Martin Scorsese's Gangs of New York? So, first of all, Martin Scorsese grew up 1 block away on Elizabeth Street, if you didn't know. That was the Sicilian slice of the old Italian community. And this is his old school and parish as well. And in the film, he captures the essence of the mid-1800s. Pretty rough living for the early immigrants. It was a real boilerplate crime and poverty. Charles Dickens visited once and said it was more dangerous than the industrial slum of London. Fights between nativist gangs like the Bowery Boys, and Irish gangs like the Roach Garden and Dead Rabbits. And this church was the center of all that fighting. So the Irish literally fought to earn their place here in the city, and they settled down right here in what they used to call the 14th Ward. And we're very proud of the Irish parish. That's why they named it after their patron saint, St. Patrick. But now, in the latter part of the century, beginning in the 1880s, that's when the Italians started to flood the city here. That was a result of all the unification wars of Italy that ended up plummeting their country into a big recession. Now the Italians slowly pushed the Irish out. By the mid-20th century, this became an Italian parish. And this grew into a community of over 10,000 Italians at one point. Today, Little Italy around us has actually shrunk down to less than 100 Italians, and actually still live in the neighborhood born and raised. So today, from Broome Street to Houston, from Bowery to Broadway, they rebranded this Nolita. You guys heard of that? Mm-hmm. Nolita is an acronym short for North of Little Italy. And it's now one of the top 3 most expensive neighborhoods to live in Manhattan, alongside of Soho, short for the south of Houston Street, and Tribeca, short for the Triangle below Canal. And that includes Calvary, the very large Catholic cemetery there. Now, with this recent restoration, the church decided to revive the tradition of Christian burial. Behind you and over here are the first 2 columbaria of many more they're going to be putting around the perimeter of both cemeteries here and down in the catacombs as well. Each and every one of those squares is a niche for cremains, or cremated remains. Now, you couldn't always be cremated in the Catholic faith. It actually changed back in 1963. It was never encouraged before, but today, 50% or more of Catholics are choosing this over full-body burial. Now you can fit 1 to 2 urns inside of every niche here, and these can be purchased from $7,000 to $14,000 a piece. But you get that forever.
Okay.
Nobody's surprised. It's not like that everywhere else in the world. If you happen to be from France, Germany, Holland, Belgium, parts of Spain, parts of England, and parts of South America. In other countries, families pay rent for niches and for graves like an apartment. But it's usually every 25 to 35 years. But whatever the duration is, if a family stops paying the rent, you get evicted.
Wow.
So if you don't come to pick up the urns yourself, you'll get dumped into a common field, and bodies get reburied in what's called a potter's field, or a public burial ground. So this is a tradition that we certainly take for granted here in America.
Wow.
Looking at the names, though, you can see it's a very eclectic mix of nationalities. You can find Irish, Italian, Spanish, German, Filipino, and Chinese. Andres Petrillo and Francisco del Hoyo established the very first Spanish Benevolent Association in New York back in 1868. It was several blocks away on the Bowery. It's called La Nacion. It moved up to 14th Street, where it is today, in a neighborhood that we still call Little Spain. Little Spain is 14th Street west of 7th Avenue, including the meatpacking district, the north portion of Greenwich Village, and the south portion of Chelsea.
I didn't know that.
So if you go up there between 7th and 8th, you'll see this beautiful brownstone. It has a Spanish flag hanging on it. La Nacion is where everybody from Frida to Picasso to Dali have graced the halls. They have a beautiful venue space inside, where once a year they have flamenco night and tango night, and they're just getting ready to relaunch their restaurant on the ground floor, which is very, it's all traditional Spanish food. Now, Little Spain, it's just one tile in the mosaic of what New York City's always been. We've always been a collection of ethnic communities, and they happen to have all gotten their birth within the 5 points. Now, today, we still have Little Spain. Up on 46th Street is Little Brazil. East 5th Street, Little Bombay. East 9th Street, Little Tokyo. Mott Street, south of Canal, Little Hong Kong. We've got Little Bushu. We've got Koreatown, Chinatown. It goes on and on and on. And I'm just talking about Manhattan. Now, the other thing is, over the years, some of these neighborhoods have completely vanished. Did you know down by the World Trade Center, that used to be Little Syria? That was made up of Christian Arabs. And by eminent domain, everybody was pushed out. They migrated over to Brooklyn on the other side of the river there, where they are today. And that made room for the Trade Center and the Battery Tunnel. East of Bowery, from Bowery here, all the way up to 14th Street, was the largest German community outside of Germany. It was called Klein Deutschland, or Little Germany. All the German Americans have assimilated. We had 2 Vinegar Hill neighborhoods that were Irish. Well, the Irish have become Americanized. Now, the reason why Little Italy is almost gone is for a similar reason. But if you were to speak to any of the Italians of this community, they'll tell you when they were children, their parents forbid them from speaking Italian at home and wouldn't teach it to them, because the parents didn't want their kids to go through the same prejudice that they went through. And of course, we know that this didn't just happen with Italians, it happened with so many ethnicities.
Like everybody does.
You know, the Chinese are the only community to have an exclusion act imposed upon them up until 1965, the Chinese Exclusion Act from the 1880s. But today, we also know that there are other ethnicities and cultures that are in the crosshairs of the very same sentiment here in the 21st century.
Like these crypts, I mean, they must need some maintenance, right? Or,
not the inside. The inside,
it's, like you said, it's sealed, but
there's de-maintenance going on inside.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah. So let's all hack into one of the clerical vaults here now.
That's so cool.
We came here already. Yeah, we did. I remember seeing Donnelly. I had a teacher named Donnelly. I guess she was Irish.
A little bit. No.
Still kind of blurred.
There you go.
I mean, that's cool anyway. So.
Oh, there's a black bolt. There's a black. There's a door.
Where?
Right there, babe.
Oh. Oh, what does it say? O'Connor?
O'Connor.
Wait, do it again.
O'Connor.
Where's the handle?
Right here.
Dang, that's crazy.
No key.
I know.
John Kelly.
Sounds familiar.
Why is there a door knocker on it?
Oh, oh no, I'm not knocking no doors.
Yeah, okay, you get haunted by John
I
Kelly.
know. You get haunted by John Kelly. Yeah, wake up the dead.
You called me.
I know.
So, this is the crown jewel of Catacombs. This belongs to General Thomas Eckert from the Civil War.
Inside a tomb.
Before we go
got
in,
to go inside a tomb.
I'm going to describe to you what you're going to see, and then I'm going to have you file in, single file in the right. You're going to do a fish hook. You're going to go in, you can get photos, take your time, come back out, and then you'll go back into the undercroft, and then I'll show you all the content out there. And you'll have time to come back and to get nice photos once it all clears out. We even be able to get nice photos of the rest of the catacombs here as well. I'll give you time to do all that. But first of all, Thomas had this built to accommodate up to 12 members of his family. You're going to see there's 12 shelves. Those are the tombs, but there's only 4 people laid to rest in here. You're going to see marble panels. There's only 4 of them. The furthest in on the right is Thomas's coffin. The 3 stacked here is Joanna, his second wife, and her parents, Eliza and Christopher Rice. He lived to 97 years old.
What?
He was talking about doing it in the crypt. He said, I said, we're going to get haunted every time we have sex. He said,
Did it in my crib.
they're going to haunt us every time we have sex. They're going to do it again.
Do it again.
Something's wrong with me. Yeah. I'm going inside. Oh, sorry. I was just going. It's in this, babe. It's like a mausoleum style.
No, it's enough for 12, I guess.
1, 2, 3.
Look at all the shelves.
Yeah, look at all these knobs. It looks like knockers to me. Yes, like knocking. They're trying to play us like we don't know.
Oh, word.
Oh, look, shells.
They had to bring that from outside down here.
But bring what?
Like that in front of you.
This? What is this exactly? Sacred to the memory of Christopher Rice, Preserver in the United States of Nape, born in the city of Limerick, Ireland, 1805. Also of the wife Eliza. Huh. Yeah, I saw those files. All this. So this is area of. This is where people would lay, right?
Yeah.
But they're not there. These are people that actually are in there. This
Like him and 4 people. Yeah, so 1, 2, 3,
1, 2,
4.
3,
Yeah.
4.
And then him, I guess. Maybe.
I don't know.
Where they put the bodies.
Yeah.
And then they had open slots. That's weird.
I'm sorry. But now they just use it as storage.
Well, they kind of did that before, too.
That is too funny.
This is like I got the altar like to pray or something at. To pray for your family.
So what happened was this, all right, so when I first started sitting down with Monsignor and the directors and all the big wigs here at the Basilica, I said, Tommy, look, before you take this on, we just want to forewarn you. You start going down there in the catacombs alone, sooner or later you're going to have an encounter with Dubois. I said, yeah? He said, yeah, everybody has. As a matter of fact, Jared, he's our music director, he's the organist. He apparently keeps having encounters with this guy for some reason. So I said, all right, yeah, sure, whatever. And before I actually launched the tour, I was developing the tour from February to May. And to get into the head and to get inspired, the first thing I would do every morning, I come down here with a fresh cup of coffee. I'd walk into the catacombs deliberately with the lights off and walk to the opposite end to turn the lights on there, getting inspired. And I was doing this every day. The story was coming together. Got the idea for candles and doing it in the light, in the lights out. And then right at the beginning, right at the end of April, I get 3/4 of the way down the hall one morning, and all of a sudden something flitted out of the corner of my eye, and half of my body had a chill on it. I said, well, my heart skipped a beat. I said, okay, get your composure. So I got brave enough to take a few more steps, and again, a cold chill and something out of the corner of my eye. So, of course, I hightailed it out of here so quick. And it took me 2.5 weeks to be able to come down here unchaperoned with the lights on. So the janitor pointed out, we just turned the air conditioner on. So that's the closest encounter I had.
That was a good one.
Hey, babe. Say hey.